just robots.
The same, like, okay.
If you're real, please let me know. Like, I
Jesus
want to
fucking
know.
Christ. Get the fuck out of here. This kind of reminds me of like the thing with the tornado, right? Which is weird.
The fucking tornadoes.
The fucking tornado.
That's why we didn't record last week, because I was in tornadoes.
Yeah, there was a fucking tornado in the morning.
Other people are afraid of tornadoes.
Yeah.
I'm not.
But here's I know you're not. But like here's the thing, right? Imagine if the tornado takes you to Oz.
Oh. You were the only person. I don't know, for some reason, like, people who grow up, that looks so good. People who grow up around tornadoes don't think about that and the Wizard of Oz when they think about tornadoes, because, like, when we think about tornadoes, we think about, like, real life and, like, like, our things that, like, have happened in our lives and, like, stuff that we've heard and, like, what's it like to, like, deal with
right,
tornadoes.
Like, not in a book that's like over 100 years old, you know?
No, and it's really strange how, like, people who don't live in a tornado, like, space, like an area of the country that could be hit by a tornado, are afraid of tornadoes. I'm like, why? What? That's like me being afraid of earthquakes in Iowa. You know, like, it's like being afraid of a flood in a desert. Like, what are you worried about?
I remember this. There was a ride in Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Where they would put you through the experience of what it would be like to go through a hurricane and a tornado. And I just, like, remember that. And I mean, I've experienced hurricanes before, but like that kind of virtual experience of a tornado was terrifying.
Well, they had it at Universal Studios, I think, or one of the parks, because it was kind of like a be in the movie kind of experience. So it showed you what it was like the way that they create special effects in movies and how much they can, like, really, really make it feel like real. And I mean, they put massive amounts of research into recreating the tornado and hurricane experience. They also did the earthquake thing with King Kong.
That was amazing.
Was it King Kong where you go into the underground and it all it's like you're in like a subway station? Is that King Kong? There was one of them that was like forever ago, and you go into a subway station and the whole thing starts to, like, crumble down, and then all this water, like, comes through it, and, like, it's, like, freaking terrifying. Like, you feel like you're gonna die in a movie. And then, like, all of a sudden everything, like, retracts and it, like, goes away, and, like, it was just, like, fascinating.
I'm vaguely remembering this.
I think it was ruined and taken apart and turned into something else by the time you were, like, old enough to, like, really let it sink into your memory. I only got to do it, like, once, and I would have been, like, 6 years old.
Universal, it's very interesting because, like, we've talked about this before. Where
it used to be different. Yeah.
It was very different. Like, Universal Studios and Island of Adventures, I'm talking about, like, the one in Orlando, were very different parks. Like, Universal Studios was like Universal Studios. Like, you would experience filmmaking, production, like famous TV shows and movies, and like Fear Factor. There was a period they had like Fear Factor that physically there. And Island of Adventure was like more focused on like storytelling,
fantasy stuff.
Yeah, and like roller coasters and things like that. But like now, like, they've expanded so much with like Hogwarts and all of that kind of stuff. So
which is still like a movie experience,
yeah,
but it's not so, like, I don't know, it's like it's really, they've like sunk into a movie. They're not so much talking about like the making of it and the actual movie. They're acting as though the movie's real, you know, which is a little bit different than the way they used to do it, where they'd kind of like put you behind the scenes almost a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if they still do that with stuff, but I mean, I don't know which one is more like immersive, you know? I can't really say.
There was that ride, I don't know if you remember, I think it was called Atlantis, where you would like do this walkthrough, and it was like an hour Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like,
Yeah.
have you?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yes.
That thing was freaking amazing.
What was that called?
Oh my god, we waited. It was Atlantis, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah,
that's what it was called.
You'd have to come
We got
back.
a fast pass for it, and then we came back to like get into it. And how do you explain that to somebody? Because like when you first asked me and I couldn't remember it, I was like, "What are you talking about?" But it was incredible. It was like going through
Poseidon's
like
Fury.
A made up world.
Poseidon's Fury.
And you like watched an entire like battle between like these two different like rulers, and it would take you into all these different rooms, and all these people acted like so in character the entire time. And
sending it to you now.
I mean, I remember one of the best things about Poseidon's Fury was that you would get out of the heat. Like that's what was amazing, is you got to be like inside the entire time and like just like sit down and like enjoy. And it was a really, really incredible show. There was a part
immersive.
That's Islands of Adventure.
Yes.
And they went on a big like fantasy kick when I was younger. I would say I was probably like 10 or 12 years old, or you know, and I would say that they went really, really into like the world of fantasy where there's like dragons and like, I don't know, they did a whole bunch of like mythological stuff. They did a bunch of that, and they just created all this crazy shit. Like that was the coolest thing when I was a kid. I mean, I don't know what stuff is like anymore. Like I don't know if it's that good anymore. Like is it that incredible like to a young mind as
it was? It still is. It's just way more expanded. There's way more of it now than there was before. But they're closing Poseidon's Fury.
Is it still open?
I think they're, and it's terrible because like people were going there for like the last time because like they were, and it's like so, because I've been on that ride twice. And it's not even a ride; it's an immersive experience. Like you were saying, like it's like you're a part of the story of like this battle, and they have like visual effects and lighting and things coming down from the ceiling, and like
you like walk through it.
Yeah,
you like go into like all these different like rooms. It's just
and
like
things
the
with like
coolest
different
thing.
Yes, with different
it
actors.
Felt like you went somewhere completely different. And then I remember we would come out like into the daylight, and it would be like, what the fuck? Like I don't know. It was always like that going to like the movies. Like you like, oh, if the sun was still out and you open the door, you're like blinded. You're like, oh,
you're like a vampire.
World?
You're like the sun, blah blah blah.
I feel like that's how people feel like, you know, with their VR systems. They'll like take it off and be like, ah.
With people walking around with their Apple Visions. Have you seen that? It's so funny. It's hilarious with the people walking around with those like Apple goggle, whatever the fuck they are, and just like, bro, it's not 2040 yet. Calm down.
Eventually, people will be paying to see through those. And it's just like, right now, I feel like you couldn't pay me to put that fucking thing on my face, and eventually they're gonna have me paying for it. You know, it's like they charge you for just everything and anything and make you dependent on it. It's just awful.
The thing that like I've noticed more than anything else is what we think are advancements, right? They are advancements. However, it's a slow process. It's the same thing kind of applies with artificial intelligence, right? I mentioned to you this before. If you take music, for example, there's things that allow you to like literally create where you make your own sound, right? Your own song or whatever. That's all nice and all pretty and whatever, but there's still human work that needs to go into whatever type of production, whatever kind of thing that you're doing. And that's going to apply for quite a long time. Probably longer than we think. Whenever it comes to like anything, it's made by humans, so it needs human interaction. All right? Think about it.
Yeah, I'm very distracted by your shirt. It reminds me of a
Oh, this
Monet.
one? Which one? The one with the stripes or the...
No, the floral.
I got this in Kohl's, and it's by a brand called Nine West. I have a green jumpsuit from them as well.
I know Nine West. Yeah, they've been around.
I love their patterns. They're very like, this is
90s.
Yeah, very 90s.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a Monet. Like, that's his style where he does like all the little dots. It's for
With
me it's always
pop
been
of pink.
My favorite art style because like I don't know, it like I said, it's just very natural looking. Like it's earthy but like beautiful.
It reminds me
It's relaxing.
of flowers that grow on the side of a wall. You see the little
like
buds.
vines, like flowers
Yes.
out of a
Yeah.
vine. Yeah. I'm supposed to go to a tulip festival on Saturday.
Ooh.
There's a Dutch town called Pella, maybe 40 minutes from here.
Pennsylvania Dutch?
I don't know if it's that specific. I'm not sure what kind of Dutch, but I don't know that any of them live like without electricity or anything like that. They live like regular, but there's like a Dutch town that was built when the people first immigrated there, and the Dutch town still has a lot of like its original architecture.
Okay.
And then they made like rules in the Dutch town where things could only be built like in that style. So the whole little town's like absolutely adorable and like really cute and historic. And then they have a springtime parade that's been going on since the people immigrated to Pella. So there's a big springtime parade and they scrub the streets. So they all come out as a community and it's just a tradition where they put soap and water and they get down on their hands and knees and they scrub the streets. And they all wash their own town before the parade. And it was done like forever ago. Like I don't know if it's like 100 years ago or whatever, but they used to do it in wherever they're from, where they immigrated from, because the streets were filthy.
Can these people come to Fort Lauderdale? Maybe because our streets are filthy.
But there were animals because people didn't have cars and all the animals would like shit on the streets. And then I guess they didn't really have like plumbing and stuff. So people would like piss on the streets, like whatever. So they would scrub the streets.
Quick, a little piss and I'll clean it in the morning.
Yeah, I'll have the whole town scrub it. I don't know. They'd scrub these streets and then they'd have their parade. And they'd always do it the first weekend of May. And it's just been a tradition forever. So I'm gonna go up there and watch these people
scrub their streets.
It's just
scrub it up dub.
I don't know. And then like people are wearing like those wooden shoes and stuff. And,
oh dear Lord!
They're just like
only in Iowa, people.
Pastries.
Only in Iowa.
Yeah. No, but it'll be
there's other wacko states. Not wacko, like cool wacko. You know, like kind of like, huh? That's a place. Yup. They got traditions. Yup. They scrub their streets after they piss after having a long beer the night before.
They don't piss anymore. That's what they used to do. But they still clean the street out
Let's
of tradition.
hold on to traditions while we're at it, okay?
Still pee in the street. No,
still piss.
I don't know.
Still pee in the streets.
I don't know. I just like people are like scrubbing a street in front of me and I'm just like watching them. It's like uncomfortable like watching people clean sometimes, you know? You're like, oh fuck, I should be like helping or like.
Well, you can multitask, you know?
I don't know.
So it's pissed and then scrub.
But I think everybody in the town is like, you know, I mean, for some reason, there's not a lot of people of different ethnicities that have moved to this town. Can you imagine
Obviously.
why? And so the whole town is just full of like really, really, really pale blonde people.
White. They're white.
And so it's like, for me, like did I explain to you how like, I think that everybody looks like somebody? Like, because, like, I'm, like, back around all these white people again, like, I'm, like
Yes.
like, I always think, like, "Oh, I know that lady," and it's like, you don't know
Yes.
that lady, she just looks like somebody that you used to know because now you're seeing a bunch of, like, old white features that you remember. It's really weird. I just think that everybody looks like each other. It's kinda strange. Not everybody, it's a blanket statement, but
No, I totally get that, because here's the thing, like, as a Jewish person, okay, I'm Sephardic, so we know this kind of true where we kind of look the closest to what we would have looked like 2 to 3,000 years ago. Ashkenazi Jews, majority of them are white. Like, they don't look anything like us, but they happen to look like each other.
see, I don't ever know who is Ashkenazi or Sephardic.
Ashkenazi.
Ashkenazi.
There you go.
I haven't said it in,
Yay.
like, maybe forever. Like, I think the last time I
You did a
used
good
that word is
job.
probably, like,
A for
a
effort.
year ago.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, how often am I talking about different, parts of Judaism?
Well,
But
unless you, like, talk with somebody like me, yeah. You live in a very Christian state. I don't imagine there's a lot of Jews.
well, but also, like, not a lot of people like to draw attention to different sections of it.
I
Like, and
just
it's
brought that
definitely,
up
like, not
because,
really, like, for me to, like, talk about, you know what I mean?
well, I brought it up because you mentioned about the Dutch people, and that kind of led me to the thought pattern of how I kind of experienced that through the Ashkenazi and Sephardi Jewish dynamo shabam.
I
Whoa.
mean, it's just, like, I'm just saying it's kinda wild, like, seeing, like, that many blonde white people. Like, it's just kinda like, "Whoa." And honestly, like, their hair is, like, actually, like, white, like, blonde white. And my hair is like, you can see, like, it's like a dark blonde. So, they're more white than I am, and I'm like,
If
"Whoa."
that is even possible.
They are, and there's tons of them,
I
and they're
know.
all more white than me. It's, like, crazy. So that's gonna be cute and fun this weekend. They also pick, like, a Queen. So they, like, crown, like, a little, like, tulip queen every year. And we used to go to, like, some competition or something. I don't know what else people do up there, but I guess you just, like, watch the parade and look at flowers. They had these black tulips a couple years ago or last year or something like that, but it was, like, a really big deal. I don't know. But I think the people moved from Holland would be my guess.
So they're wow. So they're like OG. They're like the OG Dutch.
Yes. Yeah.
Damn.
There's a lot of really good food there, like,
I'm
they have, like,
sure.
like, a lot of, like, butcher shops and, like, cheese shops and pastry
Honey,
places and
you got me at honey and, like, you got me at
yeah,
cheese and pastry.
they
Like,
have actual honey too, real bees making honey and
actual
shit.
butter. Actual
Yeah.
butter. Like real butter.
Real butter
The churning,
beat up by some lady, like,
this lady knows how to give good head,
my ancestors used to beat some butter, dude. Did I ever tell you that
Beat some
story?
butter real hard, huh?
Where one time I was in the history museum. No, it's like they beat it like that, and they just, like, like, make that butter. My
Yeah.
grandma used to make butter. She'd make it in, like, a glass jar, like a mason jar. She'd just, like, shake the mason jar like a shake weight, and it would just, like, turn into actual butter. And you just shake it until it wouldn't, like, move much anymore. And that's when you knew that, like, it was, like, ready to be eaten. It's, like, real
Yeah, it's where
butter.
the fats separate and become a solid.
But my funny story is that when I was probably in, like, 1st grade, like, we were at the, history museum. There's, like, a Iowa history museum, and it's a big, beautiful building, and they've put a lot of really incredible stuff in there. There's an entire section of it that's all just dedicated to, like, the Native Americans of Iowa and, like, who used to live there and, like, how they
Wow.
used to live and, like,
Whoa.
examples of, like, their actual teepees and, like, their artwork and, like, everything. Like, it's incredible. But there's also stuff about, like, the first, like, pioneers that, like, moved to Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
and they have,
The
like, all these
whites.
different things on, like, on display. So they'll have, like, a rocking chair that was, like, you know, owned by somebody back in, like, forever, and you're, like, looking at it like, "Whoa, that's a real, like, handmade, like, chair by some, like, old pioneer," you know? And then they keep, like, going down, and they'll show you, like, more and more stuff, and it's like, there's a, you know, an old school, like, bathing tub, you know, and it's like, holy shit, people used to take a bath in, like, a big tin can. Like, you're like, "What the hell?" You know?
Do
You're
you
like,
want to something
just we
nuts?
were, like, 2nd graders looking at it. Okay, let me tell you the rest, though. So then they keep going down the way, and there's, like, a butter churn, and I look at it, and I was like, "Huh," and I was like, "That's that's my name on there," and I was like, "Oh, that's my ancestor's butter churn in the history museum?" Like, I was like, "Oh
Did it
my
say
god."
Andrew? Did it say Andrews on it?
I just remember my mom telling me that, like, a long, long time ago, my great, great, great grandmother had, like, a butter churn. I should probably pull grandma in pull mom in here and have her tell the story or something. But my great, 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 great grandmother had, like, a butter churn that had been, like, handed down, like, through all the family, and, like, eventually, like, somebody, like, passed away and just, like, dedicated it, like, donated it to the history museum. And I don't know why that was just, like, so funny and embarrassing that, like, my family's butter churn is, like, one of the
That's my
display.
family's butter churn. We used to eat corn and put the butter from the churn on it.
I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know how this happened, but, like
Oh my god, it's just an experience. Like, can you imagine and get your hands on that butter churn and just go up and down?
Well, you know, there's, like, artifacts that they, like, collected of, like, lots of different, like, beginnings of civilizations. Like, to be honest, like, yes, the Native Americans were here first, there's all that, but, like, if you look at my family with their butter churn, that is the beginning of an American civilization, like that type of American civilization. And so, like, they've collected this butter churn from, like, the beginning of, like, American civilization. It just happens to be like a butter churn that someone in my family, like, way back. So,
Is
like,
that like,
imagine, like, a Native American, like, comes in and they're like, "Holy shit, is that my bow and arrow? How'd they find that?"
can I
You
get my
know, and
bow and
they're
arrow?
like,
I'm gonna go shoot some stags in the back.
but it's
Okay,
like they're
let's go.
collecting all these artifacts from, like, different civilizations, and, like, they were
Mm-hmm.
just people's stuff, and, like, nobody thought of them as anything, like, significant or anything like
Mm-mm.
that. Like, I have, like, been through, like, museums in France or whatever that they, like, collected, like, pots and plates and, like, different things, and it's like, I'm sure nobody thought, like, this would be on display, like, you know, 500 years from now. Like, "Look at
Right.
this," you know? I don't know. This is my stony thought.
No,
My I just if
I
I'm living
totally
in
get
Iowa
that.
now, I'm gonna tell you funny Iowa stories about the butter churn at the
Listen,
history museum.
you have exposed the actual full-on experience of what Iowa has to offer, because I, for a time there, like Arkansas and Iowa was kind of like up on arms. I was like, who the hell lives in Arkansas and who the hell lives in Iowa? And then, like, you come along in my life and I'm like, what in the hell is Iowa? You
No one
know?
lives in Arkansas.
No one lives in Arkansas, but that's the story for another time. But, like, there's just so much I've learned about Iowa, and I just have to say to myself, I'm like, damn,
Turning
there's
butter.
there is some herstory going on over there.
The thing is like, think of how much money I would save if I actually did make my own butter.
True,
I know,
but
and think of how much money I would save if I actually, like, had any of my own stuff, you know? And then it's like, here I am poking fun at people churning butter, and then I'm like, "Damn, like, they had their own butter."
Then again, like I said, them giving out hand jobs were probably amazing.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think that like she used to like sit out on the porch,
Oh my
with like
god. Wow.
a glass of iced tea and
That is
just
so
kind of like,
Midwest.
yeah. I
So
think it was like a nice way to spend
Midwest.
the day. Like,
Oh god.
I don't really know what
Jeez.
churning butter was like.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just buy my butter in the grocery store, the little sticks, comes in a pack of 4.
Okay, if you come here, I should take you. You'll be like, "What is going on right now?" You'll love it. You'll be like, "Carissa, what?" And like everybody will like be like, "Okay, like okay."
I would
Let me tell
stick
you.
out like a
No, 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 no,
sore
no. This
thumb, and you
is
know that.
okay, but
I
this is
am a sore
different.
thumb.
Let me tell you about this. This
Yes.
is what I'm talking about. We have a place called Living History Farms, okay?
Oh boy.
And Living History Farms is like, have you heard of like Silver Dollar City? Or okay, what it is it's a historic village, okay, where everyone is in character as though they're part of that time period. So this is like an amusement park, more or less, but it's all like for historical like reasons. So it's like for kids to like learn and for people like have fun and like it's very interesting, and they've preserved like these buildings, and they've also like built buildings that are like fake. But like when we were kids, they would take us there and they would teach us like things about history. So like they've recreated like what an old town used to look like in the Midwest. So there's like a tiny little like barber shop and a tiny little shoe shop and like a tiny little pharmacy, and
Okay.
then like you can go
Can
and see
you
like, huh?
can you be a bitch to the actors? Can you be like,
You don't
"Hey,
want to because they're
I
amazing.
I
Like, it's like
know,
this man
but
and
I
he's like a
have to."
blacksmith, okay? And he's like doing like real actual blacksmith work. And like it's some amazing thing that like someone has taught him. And somehow he knows like the real way that like people used to do it. And it's just like nuts to like watch it. Like you're just like, "Oh my god." And then like all of a sudden there's this man that's like making saddles for horses, and you're like, what is this? And all of a sudden you're like watching a person like create like a saddle out of leather, and it's like, oh my god, like look at how lazy I am on my freaking cell phone all day,
But
like
these
this
are
is nuts.
actors. They're not actually like
No, but they know how to do what they're doing. Like they're not
interesting.
just actors. Like they also know the thing, and then they probably like have like degrees in like history or something like that, and they'll like tell you like a million like facts about like everything that that person did at that time. So like if you go into the pharmacy, the person will tell you about like different prescriptions that were popular and different treatments and why people used them and how often, and like what were common deaths of people, and like all this really really interesting stuff. When we were kids, they had us like go out to this like cabin, and like it had like an old like stove, and we had to put like old like fake like coal into it, and
Oh
like
my
we made
god.
like we like milked a cow to like make
Grab
like,
them titties,
dude, we like
squeezing the
milked a
titties.
cow to like get milk to like make bread to like eat.
Wow.
Like they like taught us like what it was like to like not have food and have to like actually make it like the way that they did. And they have like all these different like historical eras. Like it's really strange. Like they'll go back like even further when you're like legit just like in a log cabin, and that's like all there is. Like there's like different parts of like the park, and then they'll have like stuff that's like more recent that's like really beautiful too, like these like big beautiful like banquet halls and stuff. It's really nuts. Like I don't know who invested in all of that and like how it got created, but that I think it'd be hilarious to take you there, and you'd just be like, "What the?" Like, it'd be so
Again,
funny if you went,
I
like,
would
on
stick
acid.
out like
No,
on
it'd be so
acid.
funny. Yeah. Living history farms on acid. No, I don't suggest it because
no, I'm doing this now. No. You put it. You put it out in the universe. Put it out in the universe.
No,
so
you could get arrested. Who knows? It's Iowa. They're a bunch of tight asses when it comes to drugs.
I would wear sunglasses.
They cannot prove anything.
I will stand there like this. I'll stand
you
there.
Can't see me.
Can't see me. I'm invisible.
I'm from the future.
I'm from the future.
I don't know. I would like to see what it's like to go to Living History Farms as an adult. Like
on acid.
I think they made us make soap too or something. We did all kinds of like strange things. Yeah. that is Living History. That is Iowa for you. I gave you some Iowa info.
See, we didn't talk about food. We kind of talked about food. Kind of integrated the butter, but into the Iowa with the white, blonde, quiet people that are Dutch.
That's where it started. I started talking about the Tulip Festival, and then it just started going on like Iowa information, and then everyone stopped listening. All the robots stopped listening.
All the fucking robots were like, "We gone, bitches."
Yeah, if anyone is listening to our podcast, could you please let me know that you're a real human being?
Mm-hmm. So, I think prompt. What is your favorite thing about your state?
Oh,
right.
You first.
My favorite thing about Florida would have to be the artist community. There's a lot of really, really, really cool artists out here.
It's cool.
Yeah. Really cool artists. What about you? What's really cool about Iowa?
I mean, I would say that people are generally kind. Like, I would say that people feel a responsibility to do right by one another in general. And, like, there's always a lot of shitty people in certain areas and different things like that. But I would say that is my favorite thing about this place is that, like, people kind of feel a responsibility for one another to an extent. Like, it would weigh on their conscience to treat someone poorly, which I think is kind of cool. Like that's like one thing that I've noticed, because like I feel like a lot of people out in California just like throw someone under the bus or like not help anybody out and just kind of move on and stay focused.
And be flaky.
I feel like this place is a little bit more like be a team, like for one another. But I mean, I've also seen the opposite of that quite a bit since I moved here too. So I can't say that, but I mean, some people have treated me really nicely since I moved here. Some people.
Some people. But anyway, prompt. What's your favorite thing about your state?
What's your favorite thing about your state? Let us know you're real.
Yes. So, with that, if you want to find American Groove, you know where to find us at American Groove Pod on Instagram. And if you want to check out the videos, we have a full playlist on YouTube at Lost in the Groove. And if you want to find the podcast, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Lost in the Groove Pod.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah, baby.
Let's use that for the pod clip.
Sure. Whatever you say. All right, cocksuckers. We love you all, but we got to get the fuck out of here. Bye, bitches. Or like deucing or shit. Oh my god.